Welcome to Licking Non-Vanilla, a sex-positive hour of talk about kink, sexual mores, and writing dirty words. So grab a cup of cocoa, your favorite easy chair, and the lube as we go sailing into the dark, sweet waters of all things naughty. On Licking Non-Vanilla with your hosts Ralph Greco Jr. and M. Christian.
There's those big Thunderbird numbers, they go by, Chris. We talk about that all the time. Not everybody gets that reference. You've reached Licking Non-Vanilla with me, your one host, Ralph Greco Jr. And across the way from me, across the country actually, is...
Chris, otherwise known as M. Christian, the other host from Eugene, Oregon.
The wilds of Eugene, Oregon. And you getting rain out there, Chris? Because we're getting it here.
It's cold. We've had rain, a little bit of snow, but mostly rain. It's been kind of chilly. It's like, I like cold weather, but okay, it's time to stop. You know, it's like, let's see the sun once in a while.
Right. Well, we're going to find out what the weather's like in another part of the world today. Because we're speaking with a gentleman. His name is PJ, and he's from Robobabez. I think I just said that right. Hello, PJ. How are you, sir?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Now, PJ, you're in Ireland at the moment, right?
I am, yeah. The company is Dutch,
right?
So, but I'm an Irish national, and I'm currently at home in Ireland visiting family at the moment.
How often are you in Amsterdam with working at the company?
I'm probably there about 4 times a week, but it varies depending on on business commitments. I could be there for 2-3 weeks solid, and then I get back home to Ireland whenever I get the chance.
So does Robobabez actually have this is going to be a dumb question because the only kind of questions I know how to ask. Does it actually have a physical retail location?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have 2 locations. We have our head office, which is located in Queen's Tower in Amsterdam.
Cool.
We have our warehouse manufacturing facility also in Amsterdam.
Okay.
It's our warehouse is. Our head office is obviously something that we advertise heavily. Our warehouse is something that we don't advertise.
Okay.
We did have our sign outside for 4 months, and we actually had to take it in. We had a number of uninvited visitors coming onto the premises, both day and out of hours as well. So it was just more curiosity than anything else. It was interfering, with our processes during the day.
Well, it's funny. Just before we came on air, you were starting to talk about some stuff, and I said, "Well, stop," because we want to get you recorded about this. But you did say something about being the black sheep of this business that we're in. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong word to use. But you are in the business of selling. There are sex toys on the site. There are vibrators and stuff. But Robobabez is also quite well known for the babes themselves, right?
Absolutely. We're the first internal European manufacturer of sex dolls, high grade silicone sex dolls. We create our own sex dolls on site. We create and design our own sex dolls. We don't do it by taking a picture of someone or using models. We actually create using rendered models itself. Our digital art department will create renders working with our team, and obviously sometimes myself, but I've been less involved over the last few months. And we work to actually make the best female or male that you can actually use. But what we generally go for is something that's more normal in society, and like what's normal.
Right.
We go for the average everyday girl, and that's exactly what we're going for. The porn star montage or the celebrity, we tend to stay away from that, and it makes us a little bit different in the industry. But it's something that our customers have asked us to look at, and we've listened very carefully over the past few years to make something that's inserts into their fantasy an awful lot more for people itself. It's the girl that they're going to meet at the corner shop, or the girl they're going to meet at the bar, or the girl they're going to meet out at a party, and it's the everyday normal girl, and that's what our customers are looking for. So we've obviously listened to them, and that's what we do. We do have customer requests that we do have a customization section. If you look,
yeah, we saw that. Chris and I saw that. Yeah,
and it's a very involved process. The process is that they would contact us for a consultation. We obviously charge them for the consultation because our time is valuable as well. If we took free consultations, we'd be on the phone 24/7 and never get any work done. But we've had guys and girls turning up with photographs and different things. We can't do that. We won't do that. We can't create a real life person, because if you do that, there are so many. It's not only in the States; it's in Europe as well. Probably more so in Europe. There's more there's more laws that actually would cover all these different areas from permission. For you can give permission for your image to be used in the States, and I don't know exactly how the law works there. We work by the laws in Europe.
Yeah.
You can pull that permission at any time. It doesn't matter what you've actually signed.
Interesting.
And this is something that we just can't do. So if somebody wants a render of a person that they know, we can work up to point where it's acceptable to the client itself, and it usually takes about 3 or 4 meetings with a renderer to actually work to get them exactly what they want to get. But we certainly could work off a photograph or even a file, because we've been told, well, this is my ex-girlfriend, or this is there'll be Cardi B. I know her, and she's giving me permission.
Right. Cardi B and I are real close. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. It really doesn't work that way. And we've had some fairly odd requests, and we don't mind that, because we value every customer, we value every opinion, and if we can help someone create that fantasy that they're looking for, absolutely, and we're there with them from day one, all the way through the process, and all the way even to the end of the process, and delivery and after delivery sales. And it's important to us that our clients get the absolute best out of what we do, and that's the core of our business as well. Other than obviously discretion is assured, and quality and after customer service is something that's extremely important.
So you would say, what percentage of the business is the doll business?
For us, the percentage of the business would be, I think it would be 70-40.
Wow.
A lot of people are interested in the dolls, and a lot of customers and obviously followers on our social media love what we've done. We're not we don't do the smiley doll. As you see, we came across this, and I remember having this conversation with the team beforehand, and we were being asked, well, what do we want to do exactly? And it came down to smiley dolls, and an awful lot of smiley dolls are done from China and different things like that. I was very lucky to have a vast array of talent from the States, from Canada, from Switzerland, France, the UK, and we all came together. And what we actually decided that was a more neutral expression was something that's that's really people can really go for. You can have an awful lot of these smiley dolls, and it'll end up looking like Boppo the clown, or these kind of things, or something. That's obviously
Chris, we've seen this a lot. That in the doll situation, we've seen kind of almost like an elfin kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually that's fairly new. That's something that's
I've seen that recently. Recently. I don't know how we came upon that in our travels doing this show. We've come across some stuff, and that elfin thing looked very right, Chris. We've seen the ears are like pointed, right, and the whole. That was an interesting because you get to our age, you remember the old blow up doll, of course. She's just got that, but. Then you saw then we saw real dolls along the way, and we've seen all different kinds, but that elfin thing seemed to take off recently, I guess,
Yeah, I think it's more of a gamer.
You might be right, Chris.
I agree with that one.
Right, Chris?
Yeah, because it's like fantasy characters have always been popular, but they were always static. They were in comic books or something similar. But now with video games, of course, and especially online games, it's like now you can see these characters, so it's natural that people would want to have a doll made out of them, or at least something similar. I think it's really fascinating, and I really want to applaud the idea of making dolls that are less fantasy, or at least purely, like you said, porn star ideal and more real, because that's been one of my biggest criticisms about a lot of doll makers is they just look too artificial. They look too idealized. And once again, everybody has their kinks, and that's perfectly fine if they want to have that. But I do really like that, because that's one of the things I've noticed particularly. That seems kind of a big turnoff.
Absolutely, and it is very much gamer generated. From the elf dolls, I was looking at one today that was completely blue. Now whether it was Smurfette or some, we all know who that is. Or it was generated like that, or you would see some green dolls, which would be like the girls from the Star Trek universe. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd at the end of the day.
You're talking to the perverted here. We're with you. We can stay out here for hours just geeking out, but I guess I'm also thinking is now we're talking about the elf dolls and the anime. Do you see K-pop coming into this with the K-pop revolution now with a lot of the K-pop bands with the girls? They've got the Asian. They're kind of Asian and very, very, very not curvy, and very young. And I was wondering if K-pop if you're even seeing that influence at this point.
Yeah, we are. We monitor the industry. Across the broad spectrum.
Yeah.
And of course you see that, but as time goes by and trends emerge and fade away, that we are currently seeing that at the moment. It's actually interesting. You have an awful lot of henty dolls on the market. An awful lot is done by Piper in Japan, and I'm a big fan of their work, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I'll take my hat off to anybody in the industry that does something a little bit different.
Right.
So we wouldn't class ourselves as in major competition with an awful lot of the sex doll manufacturers, because 98% of them would be based in Asia.
Asia, okay.
Absolutely, and the other 2% would be ourselves and the good people over at Real Doll and Abyss. And I'm a big fan of Matt McMullen's work as well.
I think Chris and I have been exposed to Real Doll.
I love his stuff. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I mean, Matt and myself, we just have different, different views on the industry. But I mean, as a Western,
that's great though. You can coexist. Why not? Right? Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I think it's fantastic what they've been doing. I know Real Doll was I think Real Doll was sold about I think Matt sold it about 3 years ago to a consortium of four ladies, and they've done a stellar job there, and Matt's moved on to Abyss, and he's doing a stellar job there as well. But as I said, we do our own things.
Yeah, I mean that's why can't you all exist together?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's talk because Chris and I both have been there, and you work there. So let's talk the vibe of Amsterdam. Why? Because we didn't even talk about the history. Why the company is in Amsterdam? Why? Other than the fact we all know about the red light district and the certain lack.
How long have you got?
Yeah, but I mean, when you established the company, did you say, "Oh, it's got to be here," or did you just fall into it being there?
No. It's actually it is an interesting story, and myself and my partner talk about this regularly. Originally, I actually originally came from a legal background, a litigation background.
Okay. Did you just say illegal or legal?
Oh, definitely legal. Yeah, definitely legal. It was more litigation and investigations and that kind of stuff. But I actually started out in the industry as a vendor.
Okay.
And what prompted me to do this? I literally I didn't even know about the real existence of sex dolls, other than the blow up ones that
that we all knew about
earlier on, and that was my whole persona. When somebody would actually ask me, I'd say, "Oh, the blow up ones," and
right.
But I came across the material, and I thought it was really, really interesting, especially what prompted us about the certain attitudes and how people were going back to the internet and different things like that, and they weren't really interacting with each other. So, I mean, rather than me ramble off, I started out as a vendor in Ireland, and I found it extremely difficult to operate.
In Ireland?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Irish society is known for we're fairly liberal, but there's some of the trails of our society that we just can't break off, and the certain authorities, which you have your IRS over there, have our Department of Revenue over here, wouldn't give me a tax code to work as a vendor, because they're not adult friendly. In Ireland, it's just something that's extremely taboo. They're still working on. It's getting better, but they're still working on. So I was only able to operate for about 2 years. And what actually happened was I found that a lot of the sales that I was meant to get were not materializing, and what was happening was. The guys that I was advertising for, the manufacturers back in Asia, were contacting clients of ours and telling clients, "Don't buy from them, buy from us." And we were being undercut. And I know it's controversial, but that happens in an awful lot of businesses. And I think I lost about 80 grand, 100 grand.
Wow.
And I was very frustrated over this, and I talked to my partner, and she just said, "Well, why don't you just go and make your own?" and I said, "Yeah, absolutely, that's what I want to do." But it was something that I couldn't do in Ireland. Laws and regulations wouldn't allow me to. I had a lot of friends in Amsterdam, and it just seemed like the perfect the perfect place to flourish, and we went there, and we decided to open up a business, and that was it. It just took off from there.
Well, look, we lost Ralphie for a second there. Hello, Ralphie. Got disconnected. No, I understand about the limitations about Ireland. I mean, it's like we said, it's like been a lot of things happening, but that's kind of true about a lot of countries too. It's like, you think the money's here, but then they sort of step in the way. It's like, come on, it's like you want to boost the economy and so forth. And of course, Amsterdam's always been kind of like, well, within reason, we'll do whatever it takes. And, and I do like the fact, again, it's like you're doing something you like, and you're doing something really unique about it, because that's the thing about like so many, like both sex toys and sex dolls. It just seems like so many of them just kind of blend into the background. But I think that's really very cool.
Yeah. It was just, it just made perfect sense for us to fit in a mainland Europe. It's very accepting, especially for the adult business. Europe is the place to go, and Amsterdam is it's a toss up between, I think, Amsterdam and Hanover or Cologne in Germany, for the adult industry. And I've been lucky enough to travel all over Europe and met some absolutely fantastic people. And and that's one thing I'll say about the adult industry itself, both in entertainment or retail sales. They're the best people that you'll ever come across, because there's no misconception. There's nothing misunderstood. It's out there, and accept it or don't accept it. And I just find them an amazing family to belong to, and yeah, absolutely brilliant. Especially that from a Dutch point of view, everything's fine with the Dutch. I'm running this. Oh, okay.
I'm so glad I'm so glad to hear you say that, because that's exactly what Ralphie and I feel all the time. It's like we talk about it. It's just like, when you mention to someone who's not in the industry, their eyebrows go up, and they're like, oh, but they think it's some kind of like exotic, no holds barred, and it can be certainly, but most of the time it's like you said, people are just really genuine, very kind, and very supportive. I mean, I can count in the fingers of one hand the number of times I've encountered people I would consider like jerks, but. I think because also because we're all in this kind of like, we all have to deal with the same issues. We all have to deal with the same kind of hesitation from like financial and governments and, the market and such. I think it kind of puts us on an even playing field.
Oh, absolutely. And when you tell certain people, that you work within the adult industry sphere, they'll take one step back from you. When you tell them that you create sex dolls, they run down the street or put a bell on you. That's basically what it is. And the misconception out there with most of the uninformed public is that, sex dolls are going to take over the world. Wow, I wish they would. There's 3 girls outside to see you. Right. But they're not, and it's not interfering in people's relationships, and an awful lot of people actually take it on as something to enhance their relationship, and I think it's fantastic. I've been really lucky that my partner itself, that was the scariest thing I ever had to do, was actually tell her that I decided to go into this part of the business, and I tried to tell her several times, and then eventually I did, and she says, "Oh, that's freaking great." And being very much involved in the industry then. It's been a tough journey. It's been a while. It's turned into something that's really a passion of mine. Just from the creation process and working alongside the fantastic customers and supporters that we have. Yeah, absolutely. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure every day to have people reach out to you and you reach back to them. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
Oh, that's wonderful.
Hey guys, I just got back. You know what happened? We're having a thunderstorm here, Chris. So I lost
there you
for a
go.
second. I don't know. Did you remind everybody that we're listening to Licky Non-Vanilla? We're at that point. Probably have to say that.
Oh, good point. I forgot about
no
that.
No problem.
I was probably ranting.
No, you can't rant enough. Believe me, we were fascinated. I just didn't catch the last couple parts because I was like, where are they? Got to get back, you know. So I don't know what you guys would get.
We're firm believers.
Well, good. I don't know what you guys got into, but so Chris, did you talk about vendors? Because I know you do. People can be vendors for Robobabez, right?
Oh, absolutely. We've actually been lucky enough to take on about half a dozen vendors for us at the moment. We do have a vetting process. It's not something that somebody can literally jump on and say, okay, we're going to become a vendor for you. We do review their site beforehand, and that's something more in my background. And it's security processes that we put in place, not only for us, it's for the customer itself. One of the major things that we actually look for, and we view their site, we will refuse a site straight away if they sell mini dolls or childlike dolls. We want to have that's our red line. We will have no association.
Oh, absolutely.
With guys at all. We certainly won't have any association with any vendor that has obviously ties to manufacturers that create mini dolls. It's it could be it's a moral curb for us. We're willing to take the hit, but I think it's something that's given the sex doll industry a very bad name over the last few years, and it's something that the sex doll industry is slowly recovering from. Because a lot more vendors now are saying no, we're not going to do that. But you know, there still are instances where this happens, and you know, it's just something that we want to have absolutely nothing to do with. Our youngest model, Charlie, which would be between 18 to 21, and she will obviously only be our youngest model, and we have had requests in the past. But we do mark that out on our website that we certainly will not entertain that kind of
PJ,
issue.
you know, I don't know when this was, because Chris and I talked about this. It's got to be more than a year ago, where there was a supposed the first sex doll brothel to open in North America. So it ended up being in Canada, I think.
Yep, Vancouver.
Okay, so
I think it was Vancouver. It could be Victoria.
Yeah, it actually was. Yeah, I heard about this.
I mean, is that a because I mean all the advances that are happening in technology and sex all the time, is that a viable, possible thing that's going to happen in the future?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Believe it or not, it's something that we were initially going to do. We actually had tendered let an area within the red light, De Veer, which is the red light district in Amsterdam, and we were given the go ahead by the local council and given our blessings, and that's what we wanted to do, and you know, we were ready to move ahead, and what we were actually doing was we were creating a fantasy environment per. Let's say you have 4 or 5 rooms, create a fantasy environment also with sounds and smell, and you know what I mean, but in a very kind of tech gamer way, you know what I mean, a more cyberpunk environment that we wanted to do, and then COVID came along, and everything was shut down. But the Dutch government was very, very much in favour of this because. Even though, you know, I mean, the red light district, you know, I mean, guys, absolutely an amazing place.
It really is. It's really like nothing else I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Catch up with people, absolutely fantastic.
And the fries are good.
And I
you get great fries there. No, because when
Freets, not fries.
No, I mean, you know what's funny about that? We walked past it because it was filled with tourists and it was so lively and not seedy that we literally walked past it, through it, and we said, "Where is it?" We turned around, and the only reason we knew we were there because by that time the lights had dimmed enough that you saw the red in the water, right? You're like, well, here we are. But you know, you walk down and see the girls, and then you go get some frites. I mean, it was just amazing. So you're right.
It is. A lot of people that actually visit the Veer in red light in Amsterdam don't walk the whole tour. It actually goes from over the canal itself. You know what I mean? And you'll have several alleyways that it traverses through. And a lot of people end up that they think it's just one street itself, and it's small. You know what I mean? There are so many different alcoves along this area. I think it's amazing. I actually you know, it's some of my favorite bars and cafes are down around the red light district area, and just to sit and have a beer, or have a coffee, and just watch everything from stag parties to groups of guys, groups of girls, couples, elderly couples, and you know what I mean, and up and down. Like we all love this, and this is the thing that for most Europeans, that, you know what I mean, we're fine with this. You know what I mean, the mainland Europe, they'll walk and say, oh, you know what I mean, this is what it is. But I think the strangest thing I've come across, I think it's the only thing that kind of I had to look twice, was people walking through with their kids.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Where I was kind of going, why would you subject your kids to this? You know, I mean, there are 50 different other ways to go. A bit strange, but then again, as we say in Ireland, nothing stranger than folk. Right. You know? So, but a fantastic area, and as I said, we were all ready to go.
Right.
COVID started, and that was it. It was the Dutch government. Governments come and go, but the past one was looking at possibly getting rid of or reducing the red district there.
We were talking about this. I don't know when that came up. I did see that somebody was thinking, some change in government was thinking to come in and change it out, right, to get rid of it. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to fly. You know, that seems like
no. Well, it's part of the culture now. I think what they could have done if it were to go ahead were to reduce the sections that it's in, but that's really not going to happen. It's part of the culture there. You know what I mean? But really, at the end of the day, you know, it's just it takes in so much.
It's got to be unbelievable amount of revenue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you go to Amsterdam, you want to party, you want to visit bars, you want to visit coffee shops, you want to visit the red light district area, and that's what it's all about, and it's fun. It's fun, and the Dutch government was worried about there is a certain element, and we may as well talk about. There's a certain element of criminality that's obviously still in the industry itself, and you know, I mean, you'll have that in all aspects of the industry. I think,
but everywhere in almost all industries has a criminal element or an element trying to get over on somebody else. You know.
Absolutely, and you know, I mean, what they were more worrying about at the time was the human trafficking element, which is still happening within Europe, and I think what attracted them to us was there's no human trafficking.
Yeah, right, exactly.
With our dolls itself, mm-hmm. You know what I mean, and we had rigorous tests and regulations on our business. You know what I mean, that what were we using in mm-hmm. relation to our dolls for our salon, and what we actually decided on was removable. You know, we would have removable vaginas in the dolls that could be removed. They can be cleaned. They would be put in a sterilizing unit. Would be tested before. You know what I mean? Before that they're actually inserted back in. And there's an awful lot of legislation, and obviously for safety reasons itself. And we're all about that. You know what I mean? And the safe sex aspect of it is
well, I mean, I would think that's really important. And not only that, Removable Vagina happens to be my favorite country band. So, in fact, our producer Mark has actually produced their triple live album from the Ryman, and it's a big. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's a really good album. But anyway,
I just have a feeling I'll be listening to it on the plane back to mainland Europe during the week. With a name like that, I'm
Removable Vagina. Yeah. There was another one that was a bandying about too. That oh man, it was Mel Gibson. He called his, when he was in one of his rants, and he called his ex-wife a glum cunt. And I said, "Is that the best name for a band I've ever heard in my life? Glum cunt."
Oh wow! The C word is used so much in Europe.
Yeah, and it would be, you can see GL on the shirt. Like it's just like, and they could warm up for. They could warm for Removable Vagina. Just what a show, I can see that incredible show.
We're taught curse words in Irish schools. From when we're 4 years of age. And whatever we don't learn in school, our mothers and fathers.
That's fantastic.
So the best curse words you've ever heard is a real.
Yeah, give it some good ones. Can you give it like 2 or 3 good ones?
I don't do that. My other half would probably kill me. No. Look, I'm still very much Irish. Where other people say fuck, we say feck.
Right. And
we just put a politer word where I take the filter off when I'm in Amsterdam.
So explain to me, because I've seen this before too. Bottom and arse. Is there a difference?
Mm-hmm. Oh, we say arse.
So arse is arse is the.
Well, we say arse.
But is that the ass, or is that everything?
No, that's just the ass.
Okay.
That's just we say
arse.
Yes.
See, Chris, we're in an extremely specific, important conversation here. You realize that now. Now we've crossed the line. It's very specific.
I've been a long time aficionado of
cultural stuff now. So.
Oh, I've been a long time aficionado of all the profanity, particularly from Ireland, has some wonderful ones. Great Britain, it's just like, it's wonderful because we just seem so limited in ours. We've got George Carlin, 7 dirty words, but it's like we don't put a lot of art into it.
No, you guys,
we don't put any flair.
You guys
to
have
it,
absolute flair. So
there's the art to it.
It really is
exactly.
So what is the weather like there now in Ireland? Are you in a rainy, cold season, or what's the weather like?
Ireland's always
raining.
It's like
stupid question.
Even during the summer, it rains sideways, and we'll walk out and go. I always remember my mother years ago when God love her and how they describe the weather. They describe the weather by how it dries clothing. They say, "Oh, it's great drying weather," which meant that you didn't need an umbrella. My partner is from Lithuania, and she's lived in Ireland for 17 years, and even when it's sunny out, she still bring her.
Oh, you have to, right? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that
she knows.
Yeah, we you go touring in England, and you go on the bus to go somewhere, and it's a beautiful day. And you're like, bring an umbrella. You got to bring, and I got slocked. In the Cotswolds. I mean, I have never seen so much rain in my life. I was just like, man. So I know you could get it. It's beautiful green in Ireland, right? Beautiful green.
Oh God, yes.
Because you get a lot of rain.
It's very, very green. It's very.
Wow.
The green is unimaginable. I described it as effervescent green. It's just like this. It's a green that's only, you can't really describe it. I still remember I was in this is a long time ago, I was in Galway. And I was there, just kind of for a very short time. I didn't spend a lot of time in Ireland, unfortunately. But it was like when the rain actually stopped. I mean,
For
I
the
know,
day.
stand back. It's like the rain had stopped. And I remember looking at the common square, and it was filled with a lot of very pale people trying to get as much sun as possible before the clouds came back. And their shirts are pulled up, legs, skirts are pulled up, and it's just like, bask me in the once in a lifetime sun.
There's a meme. There's a constant meme on the internet over the last decade where they would show a beach in Europe or a beach in the States, and they say show the Irish person, and where we would be the palest person. actually, I mean the Irish reaction to sex and nudity is comical worldwide. I remember years ago being on a beach in Cancun, and when the Irish go abroad, they're very kind of we're like everybody else, and we rip off, and no one's going to notice. But I was with two buddies of mine, one from Arizona and one from one from I think it was Pennsylvania, and we spent 2 weeks down in Cancun. I remember walking along the beach, and a few of the girls there were stripped off, topless, and they were lying back on the beach. And one of the guys went off to get a beer and came back. Hey, PJ, you want this beer? I says, yeah. The girls nearly dived into the sand. There was 3 Irish girls there. Oh, Jesus! Once there's an Irish voice around, their Irishness comes back to them. Right. They literally they tunnel from the beach up to the hotel, and that's the way that they do it. But it's just I would probably from it would probably be odd just from an Irish point of view. To be involved in the industry, I know a handful of people involved from sales, just from sales and retail itself. But anything else, I mean, it's all mainland Europe, and this is, I suppose, it's full circle back to why is Robobabez in
Amsterdam,
and that's why it is, because we can operate there, we can't. We can operate to the scale that we just certainly couldn't operate to in Ireland, and that's unfortunate. But
it's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. We made a home.
Yeah, right, for sure.
And we're happy there, and that's where we belong, and we'll be there for the foreseeable future.
So, the wrap up then, because that's a great way to come back to it, but assuredly, we could talk to you all night. But to wrap up,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, to wrap up, what's coming down the pike? What could you tell us that like you're looking forward to, or even give us a hint of an invention or whatever, something you see in the future?
Oh, okay. Well, we currently have 6 more models in production. At the moment, I can't say too much beyond that. But we're extremely excited. They're going to follow along the same models that we're currently doing. Despite the 1 or 2 emails a week that we would get from certain people telling us that we need to do the smiley face.
Right.
We're going to do what the majority of our customers want. Actually, it's probably just worth noting to you guys that one of the most important features that our customers actually look at is the hyper realistic hands.
Hands, okay, interesting.
And the feet. And what's really important about we make our feet we do our feet from foot models itself, and we make sure that we actually do a size. And that's one thing that other industries don't do, because we look at from what actually happens after the customer buys the dolls. They're going to want to clothe them, and they want to put shoes on them.
That's true.
Now, we do our model in 3 shoe sizes. So when the customer actually asks, we can actually have a model in a shoe size.
Interesting, very interesting.
And that would, for us, that would be a 5 or 6 or 7. And we would do that because we had a lot of customers over the years to say it was very, very difficult to get a shoe size for them, and especially when they're buying models from Asia.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah, that's interesting. That would be. I mean, all joking aside, be the last thing I would think about. When it comes to this, I mean,
it's more something that you've three levels of people who buy dolls. You have your beginner level, and they're out along the sides. They're just looking for something. I mean, it could be a TP doll, which is basically it's a rubber doll itself. I mean, it does or you have your intermediate or your premium collector, and that's that would be our major market itself. And your silicone based doll, we do a premium silicone doll. And it's just something that lasts a lot longer. And when it comes down to maintenance and different things like that, we will discuss with our clients individually in relation to silicone dolls, and we want them to last for as long as possible. If our owner can get between 5 and 6 years out of a silicone doll, absolutely, and we're happy about that. And we're happy to assist them with.
Well, you're in a usual business because most businesses now are building in a built-in obsolescence. So you buy a cell phone every year. But that's not. You're looking for quality with weird stuff.
And even there is a tech aspect to it. And when you were talking to Bruce, you guys touched it in relation to AR and MR, augmented reality and mixed reality. I suppose what we do is that we already have our rendered models. That's copyrighted and the intellectual property is owned by us. So we've already looked at that, and that's something that we're actually working on with a team in the States, in Florida. We're looking at at having an area, creating an area on our site where, when the technology is where we need it to be, that people can interact with our dolls that we sell, but they're avatar models online in an environment. Wow. That's what we want to do. And obviously VR doesn't. VR was one of those things that people said it's going to work. AR and MR, augmented reality, and your mixed reality. Mixed reality, I think, is something that's really going to be at the forefront of technology.
Yeah, Chris has been talking a lot about that too. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a massive fan, because basically what mixed reality does, it brings adult entertainment into your home, where you can be in your room. And basically what it does, you would have a mapping system that would map your existing environment. And then you can create your fantasy partner into that environment that you're already familiar with. Isn't that the ultimate fantasy experience? That you can experience that in familiar surroundings. That's private for yourself, and I think that's amazing. That's something that I'm obviously being kept updated with, and Robobabez is very very much pushed towards that part of the industry, and that's where we want to go. And as even as Bruce said, and I'm a huge believer in this area, that if you want to if you want to stay in business, you need to evolve.
True.
You need to move forward and obviously listen to the people out there.
True.
And
very true.
That's what we can.
Well, first of all, thank you for staying up. That's first.
Guys,
listen, it was an absolute. I love
I'm back at you.
It was wonderful.
Back at
Absolutely.
you.
Definitely. You're back on again.
You're coming on tomorrow. Are you kidding?
I mean, we could go on for hours here. I mean, it's like
been wonderful.
It's like I'm feeling guilty for keeping you awake.
Yeah, I know,
I'm definitely game to do this anytime.
No problem, guys. If you guys are ever in Ireland,
we're coming. We're coming over.
It's a date. It's a date.
I'll show you around when it doesn't.
Well, it doesn't, right? Yeah, all right.
How about next Tuesday?
Yeah, we do next Tuesday. Right.
Yeah, about 2 o'clock. Yeah, no problem. I'll make myself available.
Well, I hate to wrap it up here. We have to wrap it, but I hate to do it. But PJ, we're going to have you on again, and then we'll get
absolutely.
We'll get to just stay there when we go up the air, because like we were just talking about before. We'll talk to you a little bit anymore. So this has been Licking Non-Vanilla. This has been Ralph Greco, or it is Ralph Greco. Over there is who's over there?
Well, was M. Christian. There was known as Chris.
And over there is PJ. He's right. And PJ's from Robobabez.
Robobabez.
And we'll give you all that information when this show airs. I'll be tweeting and twatting and blogging and blinking and all that stuff I do, and you'll know what we're doing. So anyway, thank you very much, PJ. Thank you everybody for listening. Well,
take care.
For going to listen, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And visit us on the web at www.lickingnonvanilla.com.